some concepts for quadratics. The vertex is where the parabola reaches in a sense, its maximum or minimum point. Okay. And the axis of symmetry, there, it folds one part of the parabola over the other. Basically, it's going to occur at the maximum or minimum point because each side is equal to it from that to be folded over. You have to be symmetric. So our axis of symmetry be the following. Now, this is the Coach Stoney kind of thing here, a shortcut. I like to do this here. I call the negative b over 2a, which I get from the quadratic kind of since the formula. But if you remember this here, going back to general form, the a value is the number in front of the x squared, which in this case would be a 1. The b value is negative 4, and the c value would be 5. But when using axis of symmetry, the c value is not important and really won't be used. Because if I want to find the axis of symmetry, I'm simply going to go up here and do the following. I'm going to take my b value, which is negative 4, and do its opposite. It's kind of like solving an equation. You need the opposite of it. So the opposite of negative 4, and I'm going to take 2 times 1. And I get this kind of like completing the square. The quadratic formula comes from completing the square. And this is the first part of completing the square that's consistent with your answers because it shows how far off your axis of symmetry it is. So what's the opposite of negative 4? A positive 4. And 2 times 1 is 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I know my axis of symmetry is at x equals 2. X equals 2 is the axis of symmetry. So to find the vertex, I'm simply going to do this. I'm going to, my axis of symmetry is x equals 2. I'm simply going to plug it into the equation. And notice I went up here and I wrote the equation, the x squared minus 4x plus 5. But instead of x, I put parentheses because I'm going to plug in that 2. So 2 squared is 4. Negative 4 times 2 is minus 8 plus 5. And 4 minus 8 is negative 4 plus 5 makes 1. So the vertex is at 2, 1. The axis of symmetry always goes through the x value on a quadratic, and its vertex is 1. So I just found the vertex and the axis of symmetry. So let's just kind of show it. If you were to put these numbers in and graph them, you would get a table that looks like this. And if I graph those points, as you can see them showing up here, that would be the graph, and the axis of symmetry would be at this value here, x equals 2. Let's try another one. So here I have this negative b over 2a to find the axis of symmetry. Let's go up to my equation. A is negative 1, b is 2, and c is negative 1. So I'm just going to go plug it in. Opposite of b, put a 2 in, and 2 times negative 1. So this is going to give me negative 2 divided by negative 2, which is a positive 1. So I know my axis of symmetry is x equals 1. So to find the vertex, simply plug 1 into the equation. Thank you, Rufus. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write the equation exactly as it is up here, except where the x's are. I'm going to put parentheses, and I'm going to put a 1 in. Now, this is different. This is not negative 1 times negative 1. This says take 1 and square it, then make it negative. Well, 1 times 1 is 1, and you make it negative. That's going to be 2 times 1, which is 2, and then another minus 1. So I have a negative 1 plus 2 minus 1, which is 0. So my vertex will actually be at the point 1, 0. And the axis of symmetry is x equals 1. So if I want to graph this, I'm going to go here. I just plotted the points out from the calculator. And if I graph this, and we can see, because it's negative, this time the graph is going down.